I have something so exciting to share with you. The brand new History Year 2 from The Good and the Beautiful is here, and it is beautiful. If you're familiar with the brand new History Year 1, it follows the same beautiful format and structure and digs in deeper to some of the different topics or areas of history or people or events that weren't deeply covered in Year 1. Before I get into showing you the curriculum, I also want to tell you that I am doing a giveaway right now over on Instagram for History Year 1. I will be sending one of you the Year 1 history curriculum so that if you are excited about Year 2 but haven't yet started Year 1, you'll be able to get that and get started right away or save it for the future when you are ready for it. So if you are not already following me over on Instagram, you can follow me there at rooted_homelife. I will put that down in the description box below so you can go enter into the giveaway there. So now I'm gonna walk you through everything that comes with this curriculum and how it's set up in case you are not familiar with the brand new history from The Good and the Beautiful. So first and foremost, you have your course book. This is going to walk you through the lesson. You have your table of contents, brings you through 4 different units: Ancient Greece and Ancient Asia, Vikings exploration in pre-Columbian America, Colonial America and the U.S. Constitution, and then History of U.S. Education in World War I through the Great Depression. Then you have your course overview, information about the Christian worldview that is included in this curriculum, and then the different things that you'll need for the course and about the course. Then some information about how to teach this course, supplies that you'll need for each lesson, and then Unit 1. And so Lesson 1, it tells you everything that you need to do, what you need to, the items that you'll need. So you need the time tunnel review cards, the maps and images book, the history timeline book. And then as you can see, it follows the same structure with just a little bit of variation. So there may be just a little bit of lesson prep, but not much. Here you're punching out these cards from the maps and images book. Lesson 3, you have a time tunnel review cards activity. So I'm not going to go through the entire curriculum because I feel like that's redundant, but you can see here from the first few lessons, just getting a feel for how the curriculum is set up and structured. If you are not familiar with history from The Good and the Beautiful, it's covering ancient history all the way through U.S. history. And so I love that with the history from The Good and the Beautiful, it cycles through kind of like the whole scope of history and then digs in deeper to different aspects of that each year. So I've always thought, wow, like how does that work if I do, world history 1 year and then we don't cycle back through that for another like 3 or 4 years? How are they remembering things? And so I feel like this style really speaks to what makes sense to me. So I was really excited to use it. And what I like about it though is they don't just keep repeating the same things over and over. They still get that whole arc of history. So that part is like a review, and then they dig in deeper to different events, different people, more than others in the different years. So I wanted to share that in case you're not familiar with that. Then they have their Student Explorer books, and this is the work that they're doing after the lesson. And so once you finish the lesson, they will go in and they have for grades 3 through 6, 1 page per lesson. And then you'll notice that in the 7th and 8th grade book, they'll have more than that. So they'll have like the same or similar page as the grades 3 through 6, which is kind of nice. So if different age siblings want to work together on part of that, they can. And then the older kids are going to dive deeper into that topic. So you'll notice it's a much bigger book. Let's take a look. There are 56 lessons here. So lesson 1, lesson 2, you have some Venn diagramming. Here you have some labeling, some timelining, then just some note taking. And I like that it's not busy work. There's just a simple activity that will help them connect a little bit deeper with the topic that was read that day. and there's variations. So they're not doing the same thing every day. They're actually working on different skills while they're doing this. Being able to synthesize information, some work with quotes. So I really feel like this touches on different kinds of learners, which is really great. And sometimes it'll even be something like, for example, this says, as you listen to the lesson, draw the ships and voyage paths on the map. So it will indicate in that lesson in the course book that they need to open this up at a certain point in the beginning of the lesson, as opposed to waiting until the end. Here's another one, as you listen to the lesson. So again, I don't need to go through every page, but you sort of get the gist that this is what the grades 3 through 6 book looks like. And then we'll take a peek a little bit more at the grades 7 through 8 book. Again, 56 lessons. And then they have the extension reading. So they're here looking into Greek epic poetry. Then they're writing a bit about it. Lesson 2, they have that same Venn diagram, but then again, they have their extended reading about the Battle of Marathon. They have some writing. And it follows that same format. Well, they will have the same page as the grades 3 through 6, then with an additional writing or additional reading and a little bit of writing. I just think this is structured so well. And it just continues to follow that same format. I love that it is in color and there's beautiful illustrations and photos and even primary documents. What I also love is that although this curriculum is specifically for grades 3 through 8, they have the history activity books that go along with it. So if you do have younger kids and you want to include them, they can still be a part of it and even have their own little workbook that makes them feel like they're doing just the same thing as their older siblings, just at their level. And then this is the activity book for grades K through 2. And this one aligns with the lessons, but is clearly not any of the same pages as the older kids. So here they're coloring each puzzle piece shape in a key, a different color, and then finding and coloring all matching pieces in the picture, the same colors they chose. So that will just kind of keep their hands busy. This one is a map. So this is helping them learn about a key, which is really great. So some of those social studies and history concepts, just in a more activity-based way. There's some cutting and pasting. More cutting and pasting. There's pattern recognition. A little maze. So I feel like these are perfect to include younger siblings. And again, just kind of follows that same format throughout. All 56 lessons, they have something to do to be included in the lesson. So it's kind of nice because you could set them up with, like, tell them what they need to do and they could be working on it. If they're able to do things like this more independently, you could set them up with it before you start the reading, and then that will give them something to do during the reading. I really like to do that with my 5 and 6-year-old because it helps them kind of not get too antsy during the longer readings because they're designed for grades 3 through 8. Then you have the big book of history stories, and I just love this. If you're familiar with the Science for Little Hearts and Hands from The Good and the Beautiful, it reminds me a lot of that. So those are the science courses for pre-K through 2nd grade. There is a big book of science stories where some of the lessons, like every other lesson, you go in and you read this story, which is basically like, these are just a bunch of picture books in here. And it teaches more of the concept through story. And studies show that children retain so much more information. There is a study from Stanford about like what the information, like the amount of information that students retain, and the difference between if they're just given the information or if they receive the information through a story is a drastic difference. So I love that they do this. It's fun, it's engaging, it's beautifully done. And it has beautiful illustrations. And obviously these are a little bit more in depth and a little bit longer than the big book of science stories that comes with Little Hearts and Hands, because this is designed for older children, but it's kind of like that same concept or format. So that's not every lesson, but certain lessons you have a story from the big book of history stories to go to as part of that day's lesson. Then there is the maps and images book. See what this looks like. So you have these reference maps, which are really helpful when you're talking about different places in the world, to be able to show them where they are in relation to other places. And then there are also images that go along with the lessons to be able to see what some of these places and artifacts might look like. And I just love that there's nothing to print. I've used so many different curriculums, and there are so many beautiful ones out there that I really loved, but the printing can just get really tedious. So I love that you have these beautiful full color books that have all of the visuals ready to go. You just flip to the page when you need it. So again, this section of the book continues in that way. Again, you're going to even have some primary documents to look at. And then in the back, you have these flashcards that you punch out for different lessons. And then the timeline comes with year one. So if you've already done year one, you already have the timeline. And then the review cards come with year one as well. So if you've already done year one, you already have those. But if you are interested in learning more about history year one or history year two, I'm gonna link them down in the description box below. And you can go look that way. You can get a better feel for them to decide if it's something that you wanna try out with your family. And then as a reminder, you can go to the link in the description box to my Instagram and enter to win history year one as well. Okay, you guys, I hope you enjoyed getting to see a little bit of the brand new history year two from The Good and the Beautiful. If you have any questions, drop them right down in the comments below and I will try to get to them. I am not the best with always getting to all the comments, but do not think I'm trying to ignore you. I just don't always remember to come and look at the comments, and I keep notifications off on my phone. Otherwise, I would just go crazy with all the notifications. So please don't take it personal. I will try to remember to get on here and answer any questions that you have. You can always DM me over on Instagram. That seems to be a little bit better, a little bit easier for me to keep up on over there. You can always email me at rootedhomeschoollife@gmail.com. And I hope to see you soon in one of my next videos. Until next time, stay rooted.